So many of them have never arrived before. America has heard stories about UFOs many times before, but for aliens to land in Russia and even in the Vologda region, no one expected that. It happened at the end of summer, when the air was saturated with the odor of water and fresh leaves. In the evening, some school children were returning home from the river near the village of Konantsevo. They were walking along, chatting about nothing, when suddenly a dazzling light cut through the sky. 4 balloons, huge, silvery, slowly descended into the field behind the village. 4. When the balls touched the ground, there was a frightening silence. No grasshoppers, no wind, even the breathing of the boys seemed to have stopped. Silhouettes slipped out of each balloon. They didn't walk, they glided. Tall, thin, with unnaturally long arms and black blank faces. One of the boys, Vitya, tried to run away, but his friend Sergei grabbed his arm. "Look! The ships are disappearing!" he whispered. And indeed, as soon as the last creature stepped onto the wet ground, the silvery orbs vanished into thin air. Only the aliens remained. They moved slowly towards the village. The school children huddled together in silence. One of the aliens suddenly stopped, turned his head, and looked directly at them. They couldn't see the eyes, but they felt that look penetrating them, and then it was gone. No, he didn't leave. It literally vanished into thin air, vanished as if he never existed, followed by another, a third, a fourth. The boys ran to the village, shouting about what they had seen. No one believed it. Only old Yefim, who was sitting on the stoop, muttered muffled, "So many of them have never arrived before." The next day, all newspapers and news sites wrote about a strange glow in the sky over the Vologda region. But not a single trace of the landing, not a single proof could be found. And the school children? They never went to that river again, especially in the evening. After that night, something changed in the village. The school children tried to forget what they had seen, but fear lodged in their hearts. Vitya became silent. Sergei flinched at every rustle. They did not tell the adults that the aliens did not just disappear, but left behind something strange. At the place where the aliens stepped on the ground, the grass turned black, and the air seemed to shake, as if an invisible ripple had been left there. No one except them noticed it. But then strange things began to happen. One by one, people began to disappear from the village. First, the shepherd dead Yefim, the one who had muttered the ominous words. He simply didn't leave the house in the morning. The lock was locked from the inside, the window was open, and on the windowsill they found a footprint, long, thin, inhuman. Then Tanya disappeared from the store. She closed the shop late at night, as usual, but she never came home. The next morning at the store door, they found her shoes standing flat, as if she had just stepped out of it and vanished. Fear enveloped the village. People locked their houses and stayed out at night. And then Vitya heard whispers. He thought he was going mad. At night, as he lay in bed, a low, lilting voice sounded outside the window. Not human, not male or female. It was calling to him. "We are already here." He shivered under the covers, covering his ears, but the voice still penetrated. On the 4th night, he couldn't take it anymore. He got out of bed and looked out the window. On the street stood Seryoga. Pale, empty-eyed, he walked slowly towards the forest. "Hey!" whispered Vitya. But the friend didn't even flinch. He just kept walking. Then Vitya broke out of his seat, ran out of the house and caught up with him at the edge of the forest. "Seryoga, what are you doing?" The friend slowly turned around. His lips did not move, but his voice sounded in Vitya's head again. "They are waiting for us." And suddenly, figures came out of the forest. The same ones they'd seen by the river. Tall, thin, black. They stood between the trees without moving. Vitya shouted and pulled Sergei back, but Seryoga was no longer human, his eyes filled with blackness. Vitya rushed to run, but felt something invisible Wastan following him. He couldn't hear footsteps, but he knew it was near. When he ran into the house, slammed the door, and fell to the floor panting, he realized one thing. they came for a reason. And tomorrow night, they'll be back.